guys, so this is my existing setup. As you can see, I've got my standard OEM exhaust tail tip on. This has got the catalytic converter built into it. Obviously it's quite a heavy unit, so I'm sure you've heard from lots of other YouTubers and online sites, it's pretty heavy, so this is going to really make my bike a lot more efficient. And for those of you that want to hear what it sounds like, actually this is what it sounds like. Yeah, so that was a pure cold start. Doesn't sound bad, but I can almost guarantee you off the back of when Rob had that tailpiece on, it sounds so much better. See you in a bit. Okay, so where we're at now is we've got the tailpiece off, so that's all been disassembled. We took the bash plate off, getting ready to get the head off. We also took the side panel off, so the fairing and the black cover panel here, so that we could get to the, I think it's called the lamp sensor or the catalytic converter sensor. I don't know, probably you guys will take me out for this anyway. So the other thing we've done as well is we've had to undo the clips that hold these cables in place on the frame. And the next thing I'm going to do is I need to actually remove the clip from the housing so that I can start getting the actual headers off. So just use a screwdriver, don't be forceful, and just pop the clip back, and just like that, it's out, ready to go. Cool, on to the next one. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is, now that I've got the headers off, we've got to take out the sensor. So it's basically just a 17mm spanner. Crack it loose and it should come out pretty easily. Okay, so what we've done so far is we put the new headers on, remembering to put your crimp washer in before you mount the actual headers on. What I would suggest that you do is just make sure that you don't torque them down yet. Remember, just keep them a little bit loose so that you can really align everything together as you're assembling the system. Another thing to note is for the newer models, they've given specific instructions in the assembly guide. Make sure your lamp sensor goes into the first port and put the block off in the second port. What I did was, just to make sure that the block off seals correctly, I put a little bit of this fire gum that comes in the box with the assembly kit, just to make sure that that seals off properly. The next part of the process is going to be basically assembling the junction section onto the bike. We also got a couple of springs to hold them together, and we've also got a spring hook that came in the kit as well. From a lamp sensor perspective, as I've mentioned before, this is the extension. This is a lot more distance for it to travel to get to the lamp sensor. So just make sure you've got the female going into the male. Just make sure that it lines up. You'll see there's a little tab on there, and that can actually only go in one direction. There we go. As soon as you hear a little bit of a click, make sure that it's assembled correctly. Ready to assemble. Okay, so as I'm assembling, obviously there's a few sections that need to couple together. They've given us fire gum as part of the kit, as I've mentioned before. You need to put a liberal amount on the inside of the section that's going to go over the headers. Just make sure you're wearing a glove. This stuff is really tacky, dries like some ink later on. And just make sure that you put a liberal amount in, as I mentioned. Alright, great. So we've done the spring connecting the header down into the first junction. The next thing was that we fitted the connecting piece. Remember, the heat guard comes off your original pipe, and they supply you with new bolts for that as well. And then we put the tail piece on. Now, a thing to remember is all of the joining sections, you need to put some of that heat paste in. The collecting piece, just make sure you put loads in so that when it connects, that obviously it seals all of those spaces. And then just tighten down the pipe straps hand tight so that you can adjust and get everything in place. Before you tighten everything down, make sure that you position everything. Take a look at the rear of the bike to make sure that the angle of your tail piece is in the right angle. And make sure, another thing that we also realized is this connector piece, you need to make sure that it comes a lot more down to the main connector here below your foot peg. Once you've got everything lined up and the bolts all lined up as well, then you can start torquing them down. Another thing from my experience, make sure that you don't go FT on these pipe straps, because you don't want them to snap off, and just make sure that they're not going to rattle around and come loose. So those are good things to remember. Now that we've got that all in place, we go through to start torquing down the header bolts. And with the header bolts, the torque settings are 20 foot-pounds of sorry, not 20 foot-pounds, 20 newton meters of torque. So the way to do that is obviously you go a little bit on each bolt and just make sure that the plate goes down gradually. With that crush washer, you don't want to crush it at the wrong angle. So just make sure while you're crushing it down, that you keep that plate level and keep coming in as you bring the pipe further and further into the exhaust port. So once you've done that, we'll go through to putting the bash plate on. And even though this the gum needs to set for 24 hours, which we're not going to get the pipe hot, we're just going to do a quick sound test so that you can hear what it sounds like. First one's going to be with the DB killer in, and the second one will be taking the DB killer out. Sweet, so we're done. Everything's been put back together. The last thing I need to do is put the bash plate on. But before we do that, I just want to do a quick cold start and just have a listen. Like I said, this is with the DB killer in, so let's give it a listen. Yeah.